The South African government broke the case against Israel on December 29th, accusing it of genocidal acts in its assaults on Gaza Strip. They have evidence of these crimes. In Guatemala, authorities of the 48 cantons make first call of attention to the elected government for an exclusive cabinet with a high presence of the business sector. In Argentina, a plenary meeting of union delegations of the General Labor Confederation ratifies the strike and mobilizations against presidential decrees. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The South African government broke the case against Israel on December 29th, accusing it of genocidal acts in its assaults on the Gaza Strip. They have evidence of these crimes. Let's remember that since the conflict began, more than 23,000 Palestinians have been killed, 70% of them are children and women. There is a cruel and inhuman treatment inflicted on a large number of civilians, including minors, who were detained, blindfolded, forced to undress, and left outside in the cold before being transferred to unknown locations. Moreover, there have been violations of security assurances with the bombing of areas that had been declared safe for residents. There is also the deprivation of access to food and water, as well as the privatization of access to adequate housing, clothing, and hygiene. In addition, Palestinians' lives were destroyed along with their homes, universities, and culture, and even with this evidence, the government of Israel is trying to defend itself from these crimes. In the Netherlands, a historical trial for international justice has begun. South Africa accused Israel on Thursday before the United Nations' highest jurisdiction of breaching the Convention for the Prevention of Genocide. The South African Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola, pointed out in The Hague that no armed attack on the territory of a state, no matter how serious, justifies violating the Convention. The representative of the Pretoria legal team stressed that such Israeli statements confirm the unusual nature of the case and the specific intent to the entity to carry out these crimes. Lamola stressed that since 2004, the actions of the Israeli occupation have limited access to humanitarian supplies, making life in Gaza impossible, and its practices are identical to crime of genocide. And as we were reporting, the International Court of Justice held a hearing in the framework of South Africa's accusation against Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. Several governments and social movements from all around the world have been calling for support to South Africa's case in The Hague and hold Israel accountable for genocide against the Palestinian people that so far have left over 23,000 dead. To know more about this important matter, we welcome Andresa Oliveira Soares, Latin America Coordinator for the Palestinian BDS National Committee. Hello, Andresa. Welcome to From the South.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for joining us. And first, let's start by going back to basics. Both South Africa and Israel are signatories to the United Nations Genocide Convention. What does genocide mean?
Genocide, according to the convention, the UN convention, is the intent to destroy in whole or a part of a group because of nationality, ethnicity, race, or religion. And the actions of genocide constitute by killing this group or this a part of this group, or causing harm, mental and bodily harm, also inflicting conditions that jeopardize possibilities of life for this group and creates physical destruction, and also imposing measures for this group not to reproduce or to prevent births from this group. So all these actions are encompassed inside the Genocide Convention. Also, it's important to state that the convention not only punish the commitment of genocide crimes, but also conspiracy to commit, the intent to commit or the attempt to commit, and the complicity with the genocide crime.
Yeah. Andres, and how important is the ongoing hearing at the International Court of Justice?
From the civil society point of view, especially Palestinian civil society, it was a huge step forward because the International Court of Justice is one of the most recognized jurisdictions and the main one for state to state dispute. So it's one, and since you may know, South Africa presented the case and also asked for provisional measures that are urgency measures to stop the acts from Israel. And then while the court analyzes the commitment of the crimes of genocide, at least we have a ceasefire to stop killing people, you know. So this was the first light of hope for Palestinian people that this could all the killing could stop, because as we know, Israel has been disrespecting international law from decades now, and we have a lot of resolutions from General Assembly, but resolutions from General Assembly are not binding. And in the Security Council, we have the veto problem with the US that supports Israel unconditionally. So it's really hard to have a decision on the Security Council that we really protect Palestinian people. So being the Hague, an independent and jurisdictional body and court, it's the first hope that Palestinian people have to stop the killing and then to proceed for the first step to hold Israel accountable for its crimes.
As you mentioned, since news broke that South Africa was filing a lawsuit against Israel for the genocide in Palestine, most of the world has turned out in support. So what is the importance that you attached to this outpouring of solidarity?
It's really important. In Latin America, we had already Brazil, Bolivia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Colombia. The importance, and also we have a lot of Asian countries, the Arab countries, etc., supporting the claim. It's really important now that we have these provisional measures in a state of urgency decided, and then the case is going to trial to define if Israel committed the crime of genocide. So it's really important, the international support also from civil society, because we have the urgency for the provisional measures to being taken into account. And then we have to create the political scenario, because as we know, although The Hague is an independent court and a legal body, we know that political pressures come from everywhere. So we have to create the political scenario that allows the court to rule according to the convention, and that the court is protected from lobbying and the pressures from Israel and their allies, and also Israel, US, and their allies. And also it's important that after we have the sentence or we have the decision for provisional measures, we can enforce this. So it's really important for civil society to reach as well. We have on the 13th, the global call for ceasefire, because even if the court says, Israel, you have to stop, it's important for civil society to push that, because we know that Israel disregards international law. So we have to push that, and we have to create the scenario along with countries that all the countries that are signatories from of the convention, like these ones I mentioned, they say enough is enough. We are not going to be accomplice, or we are not going to acting complicit with genocide, and we are going to pressure Israel to enforce what the court decides.
Yeah. Israel also is claiming that this operation is intended to protect security in the region. But is it possible that it's doing precisely the opposite? I mean, how is this military action affecting security in the region?
Actually, today we've seen the brilliant expositions from South Africa advisors and attorneys that firstly, Israel does not have the right to self-defense as such, because we are talking about an occupied territory. So the Article 51 of the UN Charter does not apply. Also, we are talking about a plan that it did not start on the 7th. We had we have more than 5 decades of occupation. We have apartheid. We have a lot of background on the Israeli occupation and settlement in Palestinian territories. So Israel does not do that because of security. They do that because they have the established plan to occupy Palestinian territories.
Thank
And
you.
if they escalate the aggression, of course, countries nearby are going to react. So this creates a real security problem to the region as well.
Andresa, thank you so much for your time hearing from the South. We are talking to Andresa Oliveira Soares, Latin American Coordinator for the Palestinian BDS National Committee, in the context of the first hearing of South Africa's accusation against Israel on committing genocide in Gaza. Let's take a short break, but remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. And in Guatemala, the indigenous peoples grouped in 48 cantons and the Ixil people who have led the struggles in defense of democracy for more than 100 days have made a strong appeal to the President-elect Bernardo Arévalo. Ratifying their commitment to democracy and respect for the will of the people, they rejected the exclusionary character of the cabinet of the elected government. They regretted that they will not take advantage of the historic opportunity to form a more inclusive team. They also questioned the majority presence of people linked to business groups. In an interview to a national media, the president-elect acknowledged the relevance of the observations. After a tense day of debate, Argentine officials in the executive branch admitted that there would be changes to the wording of certain articles of the so-called omnibus bill that was sent to the parliament. One of the highlights is the proposal of the Minister of Security, Patricia Bullrich, which has been withdrawn. It is the article referring to the prohibition of gatherings of more than three people. During her speech, the head of security for the president's government, Javier Milei, also made a slip of the tongue, referring to a law authorizing extraordinary executions known as the trigger-happy law. Far from admitting a mistake, he reinforced theories which, for some of the deputies present, are seriously repressive. In Argentina, the Confederal Committee met on Wednesday and agreed to reinforce the call for the strike and mobilization of January 24th. More than 250 leaders of 70 regional organizations also agreed to support all of the actions that may be carried out in the interior of the country on the 24th, but especially in the days before. From now on, they will promote actions and regional meetings. Among the resolutions approved, the resounding unanimously support to the strategy of action of the Board of Directors of the Confederation is highlighted. Also, the resounding rejection to the emergency decree issued by the executive power. In Ecuador, violence gives no truce, especially in the southwest of the country. In the last hours of this Wednesday, a strong confrontation was reported in the Esmeraldas prison. The prison is one of the most violent in that nation, which in the last 5 years has accumulated the highest number of prison massacres in the region. In the midst of the strong security measures ordered by the President Daniel Noboa, after decreeing an internal armed conflict and a state of exception, shootings are reported to be taking place between prisoners and military personnel. Several security guards have been held hostage for days in some prisons in the country. Let's take a short break, but remember, you can stay with us. Welcome back. Iranian authorities affirmed on Thursday the arrest of 35 people for their involvement in the recent terrorist bombings in the southeastern city of Kerman. In the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence reported that its forces are carrying out a process to identify the material and intellectual authors of the two suicide bombings, as well as people related to the terrorists inside and outside the country. So far, 35 people have been detained in numerous provinces, the statement added. Iranian intelligence indicated that several of the criminals involved in the tragedy have been identified abroad and serious efforts are underway to hunt them down. The Islamic State, Daesh, claimed responsibility for the January 3 attack, which took place near the tomb of Iranian Revolutionary Guard commander Qasem Soleimani, killed 4 years ago by the United States in Iraq. Iran's Army Naval Force reported Thursday the seizure of a U.S. oil tanker pursuant to a court order in the Sea of Oman. In a statement, the Navy informed that the seizure of the Suez Rajan oil tanker, now renamed St. Nicholas, was carried out after the theft of Iranian oil, which was loaded on this same ship by the United States last August. According to the note, the operation was carried out with a court order in the waters of the Sea of Oman. According to media reports, the tanker St. Nicholas, which was sailing under the flag of the Marshall Islands, has 19 crew members on board, 18 Filipinos and 1 Greek. The vessel was loaded with some 145,000 tons of crude oil in the Iraqi ports of Basra and was bound for the Turkish city of Aliaga, according to the tanker's management company, Empire Navigation, based in Greece. India and the United Arab Emirates set new levels of bilateral trade at the 10th edition of Vibrant Gujarat 2024. The high-level meeting held in the city of Gandhinagar was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, as well as more than 200 delegates, including representatives from 34 countries and 16 international organizations. During the session, the parties established 4 memorandums of understanding concerning cooperation in investment projects in the fields of health, renewable energy, and the development of food parks. Following the assessment of the economic flow, the leaders assured that a non-oil trade can be established before 2030. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.